wasn't collecting a dime from Electric Boogie.
What happens when an 11-year-old girl walks onto the Caribe Theater stage on Easter Monday 1964, gets sabotaged by the band refusing to start the song, hears God's voice telling her to sing a cappella?
I have no doubt that from that tender age, God was with me. I heard the voice say, "Little girl, start singing."
She is the longest-running female reggae artist in history, spanning 6 decades, creating the electric slide dance phenomenon from a $300 rhythm box bought with performance money in Toronto.
He's gonna teach you, teach you, teach you.
It's like a keyboard, this size. And I started to try it out and I loved it. And the man came over who worked in the store.
Marcia loses millions to financial scammers and unfair contracts, gets left under a tree in Clarendon by jealous musicians who didn't like Bob Andy being around.
When I was left in Clarendon under a big tree with Bob Andy because they couldn't get a chance to take me away to maybe, for other reasons, because Bob Andy was every single where.
She became Bob Marley's guardian angel as part of the I-3s, preventing his collapse on stage while 7 months pregnant.
I'm thankful that I was privileged to be a part of that experience, and that is one of the reasons that inspired me to write the song He's a Legend.
At 76 years old in 2025, is still performing and inspiring every single female reggae artist alive. She recently celebrated her 60th anniversary in music with a massive concert at Hope Botanical Gardens in Kingston, featuring Shaggy, Busy Signal, Tanya Steffens, and Tony Gregory. But before we dive into Marcia's story, you need to understand 3 things that define Marcia Griffiths' journey. First, this woman survived and thrived in the most male-dominated business imaginable, Jamaica's music industry in the 1960s, where women were treated as objects, paid less than men, scammed out of royalties, sexually harassed, and literally abandoned under trees if they refused advances.
Artists, every musician is looking in your direction as a young woman. You're the new kid on the block and you're vulnerable to all kinds of things.
Second, Marcia Griffiths is the foundation. Every single female reggae artist from Queen Africa to Tanya Steffens to Etana to Nadine Sutherland to Elaine has said Marcia Griffiths inspired them and was their role model, making her greatest achievement not the hits but the doors she kicked open for women.
Most of them will admit that I was their inspiration and their role model, and I try to share a lot with them that they wouldn't fall in some of the holes I fell.
And third, despite being owed millions in royalties from Electric Boogie alone, being scammed by fraudsters who promised to help her get a mortgage, never receiving proper payment for decades of work, Marcia Griffiths says she's rich in God's blessings.
Baby, won't you wait a while and let the moment.
The sunshine, trees, and ability to inspire people is worth more than financial wealth.
All the man had to do in court was open his mouth and the judge knew right away that this man is a pro. He had all the arguments in the world.
November 23rd, 1949. Hannahtown, Kingston, Jamaica. Lynette Marcia Griffiths was born, but she hated the name Lynette.
Born in Hannahtown, Kingston, Oxford Street. 3 sisters and a brother. Well, 4 sisters, 1 passed at early age. No, it's an adopted name. Because I don't know where my mother find that name.
The rejection of Lynette wasn't just teenage rebellion. It was the first act of self-determination in a life that would require constant reinvention and boundary setting. Marcia jokes that the only other Lynette she ever encountered was the villain in An Officer and a Gentleman, who made the protagonist swallow the photo he gave her. Even Hollywood agreed. Lynette wasn't the energy.
I'd given a God-given talent because my 2 other sisters, they sing beautiful, and because our parents were so strict, we stayed in and all 3 of us would just sing and harmonize.
Hannahtown in the 1950s was a different world. Marcia's father was so strict the 3 sisters weren't allowed on the streets, so they sang. Every night before bed, the Martin household became a harmony workshop. Gospel songs, hymns, the girls finding their blend purely through repetition and love. This wasn't formal training. This was survival entertainment, the thing that soothed their souls when the outside world was forbidden.
Like jumping, like shouting.
Easter Monday, 1964. Carib Theater. Marcia Griffiths was 11 years old, about to turn 12 in November.
While he was singing this song, I was harmonizing it. And Bossy came on and he heard me singing and he says, "Wow, this little girl can sing." I was, 11 at the time.
A friend's boyfriend, Philip Bossy James from the Blues Busters, had heard her singing outside and begged Byron Lee to let her do one song.
So then he said, "Boy, this little girl, you have to come and perform on Carib Theater Easter Monday." Blues Busters were already on the show, so he said he was going to talk to Byron. And
Byron Lee said absolutely not, but Bossy persisted. One song, that's it.
I heard the voice say, "Little girl, start singing," and that's what I did.
A cappella.
I start the song by myself and they better follow me.
What happened next is the kind of origin story that sounds manufactured but isn't. Marcia stood at the microphone, waiting for the guitar intro to Carla Thomas's No Time to Lose. The song starts with guitar, but nothing happened. Marcia looked around, confused. The band was laughing. This was deliberate sabotage. These grown men trying to embarrass an 11-year-old girl. Then Marcia heard a voice, not metaphorical, an actual voice. "Little girl, you better start sing." So she did, a cappella, without the band. She started singing No Time to Lose by herself.
No time to lose, no time.
And the band had to scramble to follow her. And Marcia didn't just sing it, she became Carla Thomas. Every slur, every turn, every vocal run executed perfectly. She sang the melody and the harmonies simultaneously. If you closed your eyes, you'd swear Carla Thomas had teleported to Kingston.
Cross every T and dot every I. And that's exactly what I did. If you close your eyes, you would believe that is Carla Thomas singing. Because I did every slur, every turn, I'm singing the melody and I'm singing the harmony at the same time.
The audience lost their minds. Every time Marcia hit a perfect note, the whole theater erupted. Tony Verdi was the MC, and the crowd demanded an encore. Tony said she didn't have another song prepared. The audience said, "Sing the same song again." Marcia didn't go back, but the damage was done. A star was born through sabotage and divine intervention.
He took me inside and I never did an audition or anything. And I called the guy Uton and say, come up to Studio One, and he was there. So they wanted to record me right away.
That same morning, Linford Anderson walked Marcia from Carib Theater to Studio One, literally walking distance, no audition. She went straight into the studio and recorded Wall of Love, written by a guy named Newton who lived on her street. Newton was supposed to sing with her, but got so nervous he couldn't perform one note. That song was never released, but Marcia started recording constantly at Studio One, becoming part of the foundation.
And Roland Alfonso, all of those great musicians were part of that band. And because they could not have their own way with me, they left me under a big tree in the square of Clarendon with Bob Andy and one guy who packed the instruments, Ikaman, I never forget his name. And I was told that they're only responsible for singer, not singer and boyfriend.
But being a young girl at Studio One was dangerous. The music industry in 1960s Jamaica was a hunting ground. Marcia describes it bluntly. Every artist, every musician is looking in your direction as a young woman. You're vulnerable to all kinds of things.
I shall sing as long as I...
Here's where the story gets dark. Just last week, before a recent interview, Marcia stopped at a fish place, and a man approached her son. This man was the driver the night musicians left Marcia and Bob Andy under a tree in Clarendon after a performance. For decades, people thought Marcia was exaggerating this story, but here was the actual driver, confirming it happened exactly as she said.
So it's the first time he's seen me so close. He was asking me what transpired the night, and I said, "You were the driver?" And he said, "Yes."
The musicians told Marcia they were only responsible for singer, not singer and boyfriend. Bob Andy was always with Marcia. Everywhere she went, he went. The male musicians hated this. They couldn't take advantage of her with Bob Andy as her protector. So one particular musician made a decision. They drove away and left a 13-year-old girl under a tree in rural Clarendon at night with Bob Andy and one other guy who packed instruments. I wasn't even a teenager, Marcia emphasizes, maybe 13 years old. These big old men with children did that to a little girl. Bob Andy essentially saved Marcia's life and career by being her constant protector during those vulnerable years.
Barry said, "Ooh, look who is here, Patti LaBelle," jokingly. So that's how Bob Andy and myself got linked up back.
Yeah. Marcia first met Bob Andy in 1963 when he was with the Paragons. She sang Patti LaBelle's Down the Aisle for them. When Bob Andy later saw her at Studio One, he said, "Hey, look who's here, Patti LaBelle." He remembered. Bob Andy started writing all of Marcia's songs at Studio One. This wasn't just musical partnership. This was protection, mentorship, and love. But Marcia's first hit didn't come until 1967, Feel Like Jumping.
Like jumping, I feel like shouting now.
Written by Bob Andy and Jackie Matu. 3 years of recording constantly at Studio One before anything broke through commercially. Then, in 1970, everything changed.
That's when we got the news about the song being #2 on the British charts, and we have to leave now to go to London to do Top of the Pops.
Marcia and Bob Andy left Studio One in 1969, went to Harry J, and recorded Nina Simone's Young, Gifted, and Black as a duet. Meanwhile, Marcia went to Germany with Fab Five, signed with a man named Mr. Hoover, and recorded an entire album, 2 songs in German language with a 30-piece orchestra.
This man came from Germany, Mr. Hoover, heard us playing at Sombrero and signed us up to come and do some dates in Munich. So that's where I was, and I recorded a complete album there and 2 tracks in German language with a 30-piece orchestra.
This was a dream. Marcia from Hannahtown singing with a full orchestra in Berlin.
When she returned to Jamaica, the news hit. Young, Gifted, and Black was #2 on the British charts. They needed to fly to London immediately for Top of the Pops. But Marcia had a contract to return to Germany. She chose London.
I went and I fulfilled those dates and came back to London. And then we decided that we would reside there for a while. That's when we came up with a second hit song called Pied Piper.
But Mr. Hoover tracked her down during a TV performance in Amsterdam. He said Marcia couldn't go on stage unless she signed a contract to return to Germany immediately. She had to sign. She went back, fulfilled obligations, then returned to London, where Bob and Marcia followed up with Pied Piper.
I'm the Pied Piper, can't you see?
They toured extensively and lived in London for almost 2 years, riding the wave of their success. In 1974, the I3s were born: Marcia Griffiths, Rita Marley, and Judy Mowat.
And we did the harmonies on the song. And then that particular weekend, I was appearing at the House of Chen in New Kingston for the weekend.
Coxsone Dodd invited all 3 women to Studio One for a session. That weekend, Marcia was performing at House of Chen and invited Rita and Judy to sing harmonies. They performed 3 nights. The last night, they jammed sweet inspiration songs and the audience went crazy. "Why don't you girls form a group?" people kept asking. Marcia suggested I3s, like we 3, but spelled differently. Bunny Wailer was present and endorsed it. Their first performance was a gospel show at the arena. Bob Marley heard about it. At that exact moment, Bob was having disputes with Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer. Bob called the I3s to record Natty Dread. The rest is history.
We decided to just do a little jam on stage, and we started jamming Sweet Inspiration song. And the audience loved it.
It was not until I started working with Bob Marley that I realized this is serious business. Marcia explains, music wasn't just entertainment, it was much deeper. Bob showed me that music is a responsibility. God gave us talent to educate the world, uplift the world, unite the world. Bob never cared about money. He just wanted the message out there.
We were 3 really three little birds, the angels in disguise. And I used to say Sister Rita was the mother hen.
The I3s weren't just backup singers, they were Bob's protectors. We were three little birds, three angels in disguise, Marcia says. When one of us missed something, the other would catch it. I have a discerning spirit. I would vision things that might be happening. Rita was the mother hen, making sure Bob got his rest, his food. Then came the separation. The first time they separated us from Bob was the last time, Marcia says. The pain's still evident. They put Bob in one hotel and us in another. Rita said she didn't like what was going on. They separated us because they couldn't overcome while we were in the same place with Bob. That's what the devil does, divide and conquer.
It didn't have to pass for me to know who he was. I knew that that man was truly sent.
One performance, Marcia was 7 months pregnant, dancing during Lively Up Yourself. The next song was No Woman, No Cry. Suddenly, Marcia felt her stomach go stiff. She saw lights. She grabbed Rita. Rita, I'm going to faint. Before she collapsed, Bob Marley's arm was around her shoulder. Bob was doing ad-libs about mothers and children. I was instantly rejuvenated, Marcia says. That was the work of Almighty God, because usually Bob's eyes are closed when he's singing. For some reason, he just walked over at the exact right moment. Toronto, Canada, 1982. The I3s performed. At the end, they got 700 Canadian dollars each for their performance. Marcia took her $700, went downtown, and walked into a shop. She saw a rhythm box, a small keyboard with every sound imaginable. There was a song on it called The Repeater, a piano pattern. Marcia loved it. She bought it for about $300. She took it to Jamaica and showed Bunny Wailer. Bunny taped the rhythm and piano together, took it to Portland, and came back the next day with a song. They called Sly and Robbie, went to the studio, and overdubbed on the original recording. The song had about 10 different keyboard parts, all from that $300 rhythm box. That was Electric Boogie. Electric Boogie went to #1 in 1982.
You can't see it, it's electric.
Chris Blackwell flew to Jamaica. I want that song. He wanted the whole album, but Bunny Wailer had personal issues with the producer. Blackwell took the single, but never promoted it properly. But in 1989, while Marcia was on the Sunsplash tour, Dr. Dredd called, "Marcia, you're going to be huge." By the time the tour reached Washington, D.C., people were doing a dance to Electric Boogie. The dance spread like wildfire across America. Blackwell called, "We need an album." They went to Miami, recorded with Miami Sound Machine, and that version hit the Billboard charts. The Electric Slide was born. But here's the painful part. Marcia searched everywhere for Bunny Wailer because she wanted to do the video together. The original had Bunny rapping "Dig Miss Kelly" with Electric Belly. When she finally found Bunny, he was already doing a video for another version he'd re-recorded without telling her. Betrayal from someone she'd known since kindergarten, someone she trusted implicitly. Electric Boogie became the longest living song and dance in human history. It outlived the cha-cha, the Madison, the mashed potato, the bossa nova, even the Macarena. Marcia has a video of a 97-year-old woman with a stick doing the Electric Slide. In Baltimore, she performed to 100,000 people, all doing the dance simultaneously. It was like a wave. I had to stop singing. I almost cried.
Yes. And clap your hands. All that came from Electric Slide, you know? Yeah. But I wasn't collecting a dime from Electric Boogie.
But here's the devastating truth.
Marcia Griffiths has never earned proper royalties from Electric Boogie.
I am not afraid to tell the world, she says boldly. When people hear my name, they think money. But I can't tell you how thankful I am for the riches God gave us. The moon, the stars, the sun, the trees. We are so rich, and we don't even realize it. It wasn't just Electric Boogie.
Bob and Marcia were deprived of young, gifted, and Black royalties too.
We were sent from Harry J, back to Trojan, back and forth, asking, what happened to royalties? We only earned when we did live shows. Foundation people don't see the money. This generation comes and reaps it on a platter. Then came the final insult, a professional scammer. Marcia tried to get a mortgage. Every institution rejected her. I could not convince any of these institutions with my documents that I'm earning enough. A man appeared, promising to help. He was clean-cut, sweet-talking. Marcia's son gave him the money. Turns Turns out he was a professional scammer. In court, the judge immediately recognized him. Marcia lost everything. According to reports, the man later had a stroke. She heard he used her money to build a museum in his house. At 75 years old in 2024, Marcia Griffiths celebrated her 60th anniversary in music with a massive concert at Hope Botanical Gardens featuring Shaggy, Busy Signal, Tanya Steffens, and Tony Gregory.
Too damn proud of you. For all these years, man, you never stop. Never stop.
Thank you for sharing my journey.
The only artist left from the 1960s besides Marcia. Her estimated net worth is $1 to $3 million, far less than it should be. She has 3 sons with Earl Thompson, who has passed away. She was never officially married. Marcia Griffiths, born in 1949 and now in her mid-70s, rose from childhood sabotage and industry mistreatment to become the queen of reggae. Despite being abandoned by jealous musicians, underpaid for global hits like Electric Boogie and Young, Gifted, and Black, and even scammed out of millions, she built a 6-decade career marked by resilience, grace, and spiritual strength. She created the world-famous Electric Slide, protected and performed alongside legends like Bob Marley, raised 3 sons, earned Jamaica's highest honors, and celebrated her 60th anniversary in music in 2024. Though her net worth remains far below what she's owed, her greatest legacy is inspiring nearly every female reggae artist after her, proving that true richness comes from faith, endurance, and opening doors for others.